Hello, this is Reverend Dore, Jacques Patlian, teaching religious science, which is the science of mind, from the Awakened Heart Center for Spiritual Living in Sarasota, Florida. Today, suffering, optional, struggle, standard equipment. What do you think? Must we suffer? Is life a battleground between the forces of darkness and light? Are we just pawns in a cosmic game of chess played by the fates, the gods, or the Old Testament Yahweh, also known as Jehovah, who loved to make contracts with his chosen people and then rain misery, despair, and disaster down on them if they acted like human beings? In other words, if they fell short of perfection. I've heard those who would say that life is a bit like a life term in the state penitentiary. Brutal, nasty, full of sorrow and woe, and seems to drag on forever. Others, like me, feel that life is a great adventure for divine spirits temporarily in physical bodies. I feel that we were each signed up for the physical form tour that our spirit and soul needed or wanted to experience in this short experience on earth. I think that's why we all live different lives. We each have different things to learn in order to grow as a soul and a spirit. I don't believe there are any accidents or coincidences in the divine world of the spirit. All serves a purpose. Nothing is for nothing, and every experience serves the evolution of the soul. Yes, sometimes this short journey in flesh sure looks a lot like suffering, but then so would a ride on the roller coaster revolution at Busch Gardens here in Tampa, Florida, if viewed by an extraterrestrial being. What is really fun for the soul and spirit may well look like a horrible thing to our little minds and our very limited human perspectives. I believe that struggle is often necessary in this life experience. We learn best by overcoming. We're tempered by adversity or failure. We grow by trial and error. The old expression, no pain, no gain, may be a bit simplistic, but it's got an element of truth in it. You know, steel is not tempered by a dunk in cold buttermilk, but by being forged in fire. Character is formed out of rising above whatever obstacles you've created with your thinking, your speaking, and the choices you make. There is no pride in coasting to victory. A hard-fought win brings the most satisfaction. You know, in the 21st century United States, we sometimes forget that giving trophies and ribbons for just showing up cheapens the entire point of competition and accomplishment. There's no pride for a child or an adult in receiving an award for which one knows full well that they are not entitled. I know our current president is deeply embarrassed by his Nobel Peace Prize, received within weeks of taking office before he'd accomplished a thing. The Peace Prize used to be one of the most coveted awards a human could receive. Much of the luster is gone when this prize is given without accomplishment. What will it say about the next recipient? Struggle can ennoble a person. It certainly has ennobled me. As you know, I was born with cerebral palsy. I'm now in almost perfect health and can do everything anyone else can do. Suffering is a very different thing, however. If I had decided to suffer all my life, I might well be bitter and angry. You know, suffering is to sacrifice as struggle is to service. It's the intention that is the key difference. One is boo-hoo, and the other is I'm going to overcome this thing. Suffering corrodes the heart and soul and often makes us mean and bitter. Suffering is a state of turning within and feeling very sorry for oneself. Struggle is a contest with an outside condition or a tough mental or physical or emotional challenge. Suffering makes one feel victimized. Overcoming struggle makes one a victor. When I hear of the suffering of people who have lived in refugee camps for 60 years or more, even though I feel for their suffering, I've got to ask, why are you living in a refugee camp for the last 60 years? Why are you condemning your children and their children to such a miserable existence? Can you not vote with your feet, gather your family, and simply walk out the front gate? Are you prisoners there? Can you not make another choice, even if it's a harrowing choice? It's got to be better than doing nothing for 60 years. Doing something is certainly better than 60 years of victimhood. In the final analysis, no matter how poor, no matter how uneducated, No man or no woman can be made a prisoner in his or her own mind. His body may be in chains, but his mind, heart, and spirit can always soar to freedom the moment he realizes the truth of his true nature and understands that he is forever, that he is divine and in reality a spiritual being having a very short human experience. In truth, we live in our minds, not in our bodies. Our bodies are earth suits whose sole purpose is to provide transportation and life support for the mind and the soul. Another man may chain my body, but no man can chain my mind, my heart, and my soul. God and I are one, and I have all the power of the great body of God, which is the universe. Nothing can contain me but my own belief in containment. I think suffering is optional. Struggle is usually our greatest teacher and is pretty much standard equipment on this earthly tour, but it's our best friend if we look at it that way. Until we're together again, richest blessings to you and all those you love. This is Reverend Dore Jacques Patlian from the Awakened Heart Center for Spiritual Living saying, so long for now. By the way, you want to learn more about the perennial philosophy of religious science, the teaching of the science of mind? It'll change your life, I can tell you that. Log on to csl.org and find the Center for Spiritual Living nearest you. Check out all of my 85 video podcasts on YouTube, soon to be 86. Log on to youtube.com, revdore/user. Until then, see ya.